Hello, hello, hello. My name is Jill Osborne. I am the president and founder of the Interstitial Cystitis Network. It is Wednesday, March 18 at 5:30 Pacific Time, California time, and I just thought I would pop on in for a unscheduled support group meeting, see if anybody has any questions about IC and all that sort of good stuff. So, who knows? Who knows if anybody's going to show up? Hello, Jennifer. It's nice to see you. Hello, Molly. Nice to see you too. Okay, it's like the whole lights thing. It's raining outside. I'm trying to make my lights work. Hello, Ruth. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Cher. How are you doing, my friends? I'm telling you, we're living in a crazy time right now. Ooh, sorry to be I am a noisy drinker. Hello, Angie. Hello, Denise. You know what? Slowly, I got a hoe. I can see a hoe right there. For those of you who don't know, I had a tooth, an old root canal went abscessed, and every single root was infected, and they had to about 2 weeks ago, emergency surgery. They had to drill 4 holes in my jaw to get the freaking tooth out. And now I can't go back to the dentist because the dentists are closed because of the coronavirus. So I'm going to have to deal with a hole right there for probably a few months. So, anyway, guys, listen. Hello, Joan. My purpose in doing these meetings, as you guys always know, is to make you so strong, so knowledgeable, so informed that no one can ever mess with you again. Of course, none of us ever anticipated having to deal with IC at the same time that we're dealing with a pandemic, and life is awfully crazy right now. My town is shut down as of midnight last night. We are not supposed to go anywhere. One person in the family can go to a supermarket if necessary. That is it. And I'm sure that most of you are getting to the point where you're dealing with that too. And so, my intention here is to be here for you. I mean, we're all working from home right now. I'm working from home right now, and so I think what you're going to find is my intention is to try to do support group meetings literally almost every day or every other day. I might even do I might even read chapters, one chapter a day of the new fabulous new book, Breaking Through Chronic Pelvic Pain. But in any case, I just really wanted to come in. But you know what? I just ate popcorn, and I've got to here. I will be back, guys. Give me 20 seconds, okay? I'll be right back. I need to rinse my mouth out. Hold on. That's what happens when you've had oral surgery. You can't eat stuff like that. Hold on. Be right back. Come on. I'm supposed to be at the point where I can eat normally. Dang it. I still can't eat the things that I want to eat. All right. So anyway, as all my lights adjust and everything like that, and they adjust without my control, so I will do my best. I'm probably going to look weird. It is what it is, and oh my god. Okay. Am I good? Yes, I'm good. Okay. So, my purpose in doing these meetings is to make you so strong, so knowledgeable, and so informed that no one can ever mess with you again. And frankly, listen, we're going to do this together. We're going to get through this freaking crisis together. We are. We are. That's the gift of the IC world. I will tell you, you know what? One of the things that people often grieve about is that you lose touch with old friends, right? Because they don't get it. They don't know what it's like. They want to go skiing. They want to go to a movie. They want to go do stuff. And they call you and say, hey, man, can we come? You want to come with us? And you're like, no, no, that's really too far for me. I mean, I still remember a guy I was dating kept wanting to drive up to Tahoe, which is a 5-hour drive. And I kept saying no. And obviously we stopped dating. Um, uh, there are times when you are alone. There are times when you're at home. And I'm just going to tell you right now, the people that I met in the IC world are nothing short of beautiful. I have made better friends in the IC world that honestly, with the exception of my best friend that I've known for 40 years, better friends through the IC world than almost everybody else, than almost everywhere else. You guys are wonderful. You're strong, you're compassionate, you're caring, you're kind, you look out for each other. And you know what? If we were all together in the same city, we would have some amazing parties and get togethers, right? I mean, it's just, there's strength in numbers. You are not doing this alone. You are not alone in this in any way, shape, or form. And we're going to boost each other and we're going to comfort each other and we're going to encourage each other and we're going to show the best that we have of the IC world. And so some of you are probably having some anxiety and stress. I certainly am. This is weird. My local supermarket's cleaned out. Two local supermarkets are cleaned out. We are in unprecedented times, but what we've got to do is just kind of lay low, be calm, do the things that you and I need to do to give us comfort because you deserve comfort right now and we deserve comfort. So let's see if we can comfort each other. Now, there's a part of me that wants to get a guitar and sing to you, but that would be, you're not here for that. You are here because you might have questions about IC. So, man, let's hear how you're doing. How is life today for you? Cynthia said, sisters in pain, sisters and brothers in pain. You have a lot of guys with IC too, and they need just as much support. Let's see how we are doing. Okay, my computer says it wants to run an update. No, we're not running an update. Hello, Kareen. Heidi says she's wonderful. Bruce says hi. Faith, hello, Faith. Hello, Danielle. Nice to see you. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Kay. Hi, Adrian. Heidi says she's a nurse and you're being very cautious. Absolutely. Heidi, you are the new hero in the IC world and in the medical world in general. It's the medical care providers who go to work and are trying to be there for us. So thank you. Molly says, you know how you said laughter is the best medicine? She said, I got 2 words, Robin Williams. Oh my gosh. Some of his comedy special was so awesome. You'd think I'd have coffee. I haven't had coffee today, guys. I'm just a little amped up. Corrine says it's 1:30 in the morning at night in Belgium. Corrine, I wish you well, hon, and I hope that you sleep well tonight. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Billy. Hi, Jamie. Jamie says, you're helping me. The supplements are helping me. Yeah. Woohoo. All right, now, guys, we got to talk turkey here about these supplements. The challenge here is supply chain. And so we don't know what the future is going to hold. I can tell you right now here at the IC Network, I swear I have a piece of popcorn stuck right there. Okay. Stop it. Something's bugging me right there. Okay. Sister Protec is coming in on Friday. Bladder Rest should be coming in a couple of weeks. And I don't have any news on any of the other supplements. So we are blessed in that, at least for the IC Network, we all work from home anyway. Clearly, I am at home because I'm caring for a 97 and a 91-year-old. Our warehouse, thankfully, is up on my sister's ranch. And so they are able to work without leaving. And so we feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to keep shipping unless anybody gets sick. If anybody gets sick, we're going to shut it down in a heartbeat, bam, like that, because I don't want anybody to struggle and I don't want to expose anybody. Now, I will tell you the Center for Disease Control yesterday released a new article on how long the virus will survive on materials. And we know that, and I'm not sick, guys, that's popcorn and me talking and a dry mouth. We know that coronavirus will last for 3 hours in the air when it's micronized, which is why it's important that you stay away from people. We know that it will last for 4 hours on copper. We know that it will last for 24 hours on cardboard. We know that it will last 2 to 3 days on steel and plastic. And so, I have a couple of suggestions for you because I've already had a couple of panic phone calls. When you get a package in the mail from anybody, do not bring it into your house. Take it, leave it, either leave it out on your front doorstep or bring it into your garage. And I would spray it down with Lysol spray if you have Lysol. If you don't, if you've got some gloves or you're just willing to wash your hands, open it up and whatever you've ordered, spray it down with Lysol if you can, or wash it. And of course, wash your hands. Um, uh, what we are doing here is we have gloves. We are being very careful about what we're opening. We're being very careful about how we're shipping things. And just know that nobody is sick by our warehouse at all. We have no illnesses up in Healdsburg that we are aware of. And I'm 20 miles away and I'm not sick. Although we've had a couple of near miss exposures. So we're up. I'm not leaving my house very much, just to take my mom to her infusion tomorrow. That is it. Probably won't leave the house for 10 days. Um, so anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that I'm going to do the best I can to keep everything moving along. We are in a really good situation because we work from home. And we're all introverts anyway, and none of us are partiers, and none of us have been on trips or anything like that. So I'm going to do the best I can to keep things going. Okay. All right. Jamie says she worried if your supplement shipments will be affected. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, hon. Nobody can predict the future, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to get you to buy stuff from us right now. I'm not trying to do this. I just think what I told somebody today is if you to make your supplements last longer, if we get to the point where say the post office is shut down or whatever, cut your dose in half. If you normally take 4 Cysto Protec or 4 Bladder Builder or 4 Bladder Rest or a Desert Harvest Aloe a day, go down to 2 and you will lengthen the lifespan of that supplement. And if worse comes to worse, what we're doing is I'm splitting up our shipments and I'm leaving half of the shipments in Utah where they're made so that if for any reason we cannot ship it, we will drop ship them from Utah, at least the Natural Approach Nutrition supplements. All right. We're really working my tush off to try to plan things out well for all of you because I know we're all affected. Denise says, "Coffee, really wish I could. What is Peora?" Let me show you. We have known now that in Europe for about a decade that European researchers have been using something called palmito ethanolamide, also known as PEA, for chronic pain. And we even had pharmacists here in the United States who were bringing it in, especially one down in San Diego who was bringing it in for some of Dr. Parsons' patients who were struggling with pain. But it was extremely expensive. Um, um, Things have improved dramatically from a price standpoint, which is a very, very good thing. But last year, almost a year ago, at the American Urology Association meeting, we had our first PEA IC pain study. And what that study found is that palmito ethanolamide combined with resveratrol was remarkably successful at reducing pain for IC patients. We know it works for burning mouth. We know it works for fibromyalgia. We know it works for sciatica and things like that. This was the first IC bladder pain study with PEA. And in that study, at 3 months, 87% of patients using it had a significant reduction in their pain. And at 6 months, every single patient using it had a significant reduction in their pain, and 25% were pain free. So that was a year ago. And so we cannot get that European formula in the United States. And I'm trying to remember, number one, cost was an issue. It was a huge, huge issue years ago. So, Natural Approach Nutrition in Utah created a formula very similar to the formula used in the research study known as Peora. We've had this for about 6 months now, and I this is the one supplement that I take because I struggle a lot with, central sensitization, skin sensitivity, mouth sensitivity, all sorts of stuff like that. So whenever my skin starts to feel really prickly, I'm gonna use the Peora. And so, that's what this is, and the daily dose is 2 a day. I only take 1 a day. I only take one every couple of days, to be quite honest. And you can get it in the ICN store, and it's incredibly inexpensive. It's just $29. So if you've been forced off your pain medicine, to have something that we know from a verified research study presented to the largest urology association in the world that PEA can reduce dramatically the pain of IC, to me, it was a no-brainer to try to bring that to you guys. And so Peora, we're the exclusive with Peora because it was basically my idea. There's a small group of us that work on stuff like this. And when the study came out, it was like, all right, what can we do? This is exciting to have something for you potentially. All right. Hello, Lisa. Long time no see. Hello, Lorraine. I've been prescribed methenamine. Do you think it might help with IC? Methenamine is usually for somebody with kind of, gosh, how do we want to say it? I want to say it's kind of like a shot in the dark. The doctors will give to patients with frequency urgency under the assumption that perhaps this kind of formula that includes a pain reliever, includes an antimicrobial, it includes there's several ingredients that are normally accompanied with methenamine. Hey man, if it works for you, power to you. It's not a therapy for IC. It's not necessarily going to help the bladder wall. It might help numb your bladder. If I remember correctly, it has salicylates in it for a little bit of pain relief. But I wouldn't put that in the same category as, say, something with Peora, where we have a good, solid research study showing that it can help reduce the pain of IC. Spell that, please. P, like a green pea. Uh, Peora, Peora. And you just go over to the IC Network, icnetwork.org, and go to our store, and you can see where that is. All right, let me go back to Facebook here. Brenda says she doesn't go anywhere anymore. I feel isolated. I don't feel isolated. But it's because I'm a kind of a loner kind of person. I mean, I'm really used to doing stuff on my own, but it's stressful. It's stressful knowing that if we wanted to go somewhere, we can't go there. I will often spend, at least one day a week driving around and doing chores and, errands and stuff like that. And the bookstores are closed. And that's awful. That's awkward and it feels weird. But hey, man, listen, we're warm, we're safe, we have a home, we've got some food. So we're going to make it. We're going to make it. You're going to make it. We are stronger together, my friends, right? Elaine says, thanks for coming online. You're welcome. I wanted to come online earlier, but the phone kept ringing. Sherry says, I was so blessed a lady at my church gave you some toilet paper. I looked for 4 days with no luck. So guys, now listen, I have the perfect solution if you don't have toilet paper, and that is a perineal wash bottle. Hopefully you already have your wash bottles. All of our members get them as gifts. So what you do is instead of toilet paper, use a wash bottle, especially if you peed, rinse yourself off with water and then just pat dry with a hand towel. And you're not getting urine on the hand towel, and you can wash those once a day. But that's a great way to deal with the toilet paper if you're dealing with a toilet paper shortage. And even with the wash bottle, you can rinse a lot off there. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Let me see. Hold on. Let me get one. I'm not sure. Here we go. Maybe I need to make these the freebies for our meeting tonight. Is I'll send some Perry bottles to somebody. So a Perry bottle, it's got it's got the plastic on it. It just has a. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna open it. So if you get it from me, okay, okay, okay. I didn't touch it. I just broke the plastic, right? So you fill it up with water, leave it next to your toilet. Whenever you urinate or have a bowel movement, rinse yourself with water. Pat dry it with the toilet with a hand towel. Just wash your hand towels in hot. But if you rinse it all off, you're not going to get a lot of stuff on your hand towel. So this, my friends, is the perfect workaround. And again, all of our members should have it. We've sent out thousands of them over the years. Hello, Sue. Carmen says, has anybody tried hyaluronic acid in the bladder? Carmen, so yeah, hyaluronic acid in the bladder, there are two ways of getting hyaluronic acid. It can be done in the form of a bladder installation. We've done that for about 20 years now in Europe and Canada. The name of that is Cystostat. Cystostat. Cystostat never made it as approved in the United States. It didn't pass that final clinical trial, but it has been commonly used in Europe and Canada. Then there's one called Uracyst, Uracyst, which is a liquid chondroitin solution that is also potentially placed in your bladder. And what's interesting was for about 15 years, these two companies, BioNiche, and I don't remember the name of the other company, they were trying to prove that their bladder installation was the right installation. And so you saw all these head-to-head research studies of Uracyst and Cystostat or chondroitin and hyaluronate competing against each other. And ironically, they themselves separately didn't perform that well, but then someone brilliantly combined them. They combined them. And so now there is in Europe and Canada a bladder installation called Ialuril, Ialuril, which is a combination of chondroitin and hyaluronate instilled directly in the bladder. And the two together are really, really good. They're much better together. So that's one way of getting hyaluronate directly into your bladder. But another way to get hyaluronate into your bladder is to use a product that contains hyaluronate, a supplement. And those supplements that contain hyaluronate, let me get them, are so the supplements that carry hyaluronate are and chondroitin are going to be Bladder Builder and Cystoprotect, right? Cystoprotect. Bladder Rest also contains chondroitin and hyaluronate. However, with the shortages from China, there are two ingredients in this. So we don't know. Okay, I can tell you this is made entirely in the US with US ingredients. So if you want something that's only made in the United States, this is your buy. This is your boy right here. I asked the Mylan Pharmaceuticals to source the ingredients for us so that we could tell you if any of these ingredients were sourced in China, because we're really worried about supply chain, right? The supply chain. And they have not done that yet. Bladder Rest, unfortunately, does have rutin in it, which comes from, you can only get it from China, as well as hyaluronate from China. And so in this case, they are, for the next formulation of Bladder Rest, they're going to pull those ingredients out until we can verify that the supply chain is safe and all that sort of stuff. And so the next iteration of Bladder Rest will be focusing entirely on the chondroitin. All the other ingredients are staying in. So anyway, if you wanted a supplement that contained a hyaluronate, I think your best bet is going to be the Bladder Builder because we know it's sourced in the United States, or Cystoprotect. We just don't know the source of it. And again, I'm not criticizing Chinese ingredients in any way. I mean, other than the fact that I'm more comfortable with American ingredients because our testing is so much higher. but it's also about supply chain. And if you've taken, you have to understand in the United States, the vast majority of supplements on the market today contain ingredients from China because our American manufacturers moved their manufacturing over to China. So it's pretty hard to get something that does not contain Chinese ingredients. But we're a little bit more concerned about the supply chain and if products will be available in a couple of months. So it is what it is. Iris says your specialist doctor was canceled. Bummer. You guys, I sent out all the carob that we gave away on our Sunday meeting. That's all in the mail. And the two ladies who won the book have not sent me their email addresses. I mean, their mailing addresses. And that is Faith Warner and Sandra Chiardelli. Either one of you, if anybody knows them, I never got emails from them to send them the free book that they won. Angie said, I had my last pain management appointment today. She's retiring. Egads. That's awful. She's been awesome, having anxiety about finding a new one. She couldn't even find one for me to refer to. Ooh, Angie, if there's any way that she can make some really, really detailed notes about your history and what she has found to be the most effective at managing your symptoms that she can put in your file, that would be fantastic so that you would have some ammunition to work with your next pain doctor. Sue says, your hair grows like Rapunzel. It does. Like, seriously, my hair grows so fast. It's ridiculous. Um, Christine, I recently entered the workforce after 16 years of being a stay-at-home mom. I've only gotten one paycheck. 3 coworkers are out. Oh my God, girl, I'm so sorry. 3 coworkers are out sick and you're stressed out. You hope you don't end up sick and without a job. Girl, carry hope in your heart. Listen, guys, it's very, very important that you give your mind something positive to focus on rather than negative, because we don't want to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if you're living your day going, I'll never get better, everything's going against me, then that's gonna be reflected in how you're living your day to day and approaching people and conducting your daily life. Oh my God. Whoa, what was that? Ah, hold on, a screen just flew off of my microphone. Hey man, that's the rule. It's not a real support group meeting with me if something doesn't happen, because things happen when I do meetings. We haven't had an earthquake yet, but you mark my words, we're going to have an earthquake during one of these meetings. So I want you to focus on positive things. I want you to say, I am strong, I am healthy, I am going to work productively, my employer is going to love me. And focus on strength and courage and confidence, and take that with you every day that you go to work and every day that we face as we're going through this. You have never been more prepared to deal with whatever happens to you than you are at this very moment, because you are truly one day older and one day wiser. You will get through this. We are going to get through this. And boy, can you imagine 20 years from now, the stories we're going to be telling about this? It's going to be amazing. Angie says, you love my earrings. Thank you. Butterfly earrings. These cost like $5 at my local nursery. I tried to get more so I could sell them, but they don't have them anymore. In fact, one of them's short. Is that right? Hold on. Is that Lang? Okay, there we go. Hello, Tina. Shirley says, I ordered Victoria's Secret last night and was canceled today. Yeah, that's happening. I thought you were going to say you ordered Vicks Vapor Rub, which I bought. I got to say, listen, if you're any Trekkies out there, anybody absolutely loves Star Trek? If you are an old Star Trek addict like I am, I wanted when I was in high school, I wanted to be an astronaut. No kidding, I really did. The new Picard TV show is amazing. And guess what? Riker is back. 7 of 9 is back. You even get to see a little bit of Brent Spiner playing Data. Picard is amazing. Sir Patrick Stewart. You want a big giant smile on your face, and you're a Trekkie, please, please, please consider getting a 1 month of Peora. I mean, I'm sorry, a Picard. You'll love it. Deb says Picard is great. Oh my God, I am so in love with Patrick Stewart. And I honestly cried when we got to see when they showed a Riker and Troy married and older. I couldn't believe it was like this beloved family reunion. It was so great. And the story is so good about Data's daughter. Jamie says, I take Peora with bladder builder, and I even had a significant drop in pain during my menstrual cycle. I'm talking the easiest one I had in a year. Girl, awesome. Love to hear it. And I'm not surprised. Peora's, we're getting a lot of good feedback on Peora. Laura says, I've a red, prickly, itchy ash on my inner thighs for the past year. I just realized that it's when I started my compounded amitriptyline, estradiol, and steroid cream. I wonder if this could be a side effect. What are your thoughts? Possible. I mean, I think you should talk to your doctor about stopping it for a week or two and see if that makes a difference. So compounded amitriptyline, estradiol, and steroid cream. It would be interesting to know if any one of those is associated with a rash. Let's look. Hold on a sec. Let me look. This is when I wish I could share my screen so I could show you where my top secret places that I go to learn stuff. Let's see. Let's see what we can find. Well, amitriptyline is associated with girl. There you go. Adverse cutaneous manifestations are among the most common side effects associated with these drugs. Skin reactions due to amitriptyline, including rashes and hypersensitivity rashes, as well as hyperpigmentation. It's possible. I'll be right back. I swear, I still got a piece of popcorn stuck. Hold on. Note to self. Note to self, do not eat popcorn before you want to stream. See, look, here it is. I literally only had 2 kernels and bam, I feel it. But it might be dry mouth too. Okay, so getting back to your question, yeah, I do think it's probably the amitriptyline. It appears to be pretty common as a side effect. Jennifer says, I was diagnosed in 2004 and I'm happy to see improvements in research. So in our latest magazine, if you haven't seen that, I did our official unveiling unboxing on Sunday, but let me just do that again. And then I want to point out, this is a fairly geeky issue of our magazine. So the IC Optimist is the IC Network's membership magazine for patients and clinicians. So it's sent all around the world. I'm the editor and the writer for most of it, myself and Stacy Shannon. And we really got our geek on with this magazine. I mean, as I was putting it all together and editing it, I was just going, "Oh my God, Jill, you went a little bit top. I went a little over the top with research." But in this magazine, let me just show you. We have an interview with Dr. Jerome Weiss, the author of the fabulous book, Breaking Through Chronic Pelvic Pain. That's why it's a little late. He's actually in poor health right now. He and his wife are in quite poor health. And so it took a while for me to be able to do an interview with him. He is retired, obviously. And for those of you who haven't seen it, this is his book, Breaking Through Chronic Pelvic Pain, of which I have copies on my shelf here. Our feature story is called, Could Mold Toxicity Be Causing Some of Your Symptoms? Now, remember, What do I always say? You are an anatomical mystery to be solved. And the advice I always say is when you go to a doctor, especially for a second opinion, please do not walk into the doctor's office and say you're there because of IC. That is a mistake. You need to walk into the doctor's office and you need to be able to describe your symptoms in depth and get your doctor to study your body. We need a fresh look at your body, at your pelvis. We need to look at the condition of your bladder, the condition of your skin. Is there estrogen atrophy? We need to look at the condition of your muscles and so forth. There could be fibroid tumors. There could be Tarlov cysts on your spine. There are lots of different things that can trigger the symptoms of IC. Who would have thought mold? I mean, like, seriously, would you have ever thought of mold as being a contributor? Well, I had a patient call me. Here, my light's getting weird. It's always an adventure, guys. Bear with me here. Okay. Oh, we don't need to be blue. All right. I had an IC patient call me a year ago, almost exactly a year ago. Brenda, they're going out right now. Uh, if you can download it right now on your member page, the print ones should, if they have not already gone out, they should be going out literally right now. Okay, so about a year ago, I had an IC patient call me, and she had an amazing story. She had had symptoms for about 5 years. They were remarkably intense. But the thing that made it really interesting in her case is that everybody in her family was getting sick, and they couldn't figure it out until they discovered that they had a massive amount of black mold in their carpet padding. That apparently a sink or something had leaked a lot of water under the carpet, and they never pulled up the carpet and looked, and it was filled with black mold. And so obviously they had to move out, they had to change the carpet, they had to get a lot of treatment for their house. And guess what happened? Her symptoms went away. Her icy symptoms went away. It's like, what? Completely? Your frequency, urgency gone? She said, gone. My symptoms are gone when we got rid of the mold. I think my IC was caused by this mold. And so I gave our writer, Stacy Shannon, who is also an ICer, an assignment, and that was to dive into black mold. And guess what? Urinary frequency is a symptom and commonly documented with people who are exposed to black mold. And ironically, I got a phone call from another patient last week who I had talked to a year ago and told her about the black mold. Same thing happened to her. They found black mold in her house. They finally got it treated. And guess what happened? Her IC went away. It went away. So, for those people who are painting very broad strokes that IC is bacterial or, yeah, this or that or this or that, you can't do that anymore. IC represents a very diverse, what we call heterogeneous patient population. There are many, many presentations. There are many, many things that can influence the bladder and trigger the symptoms. And so, black mold, if you've got mold in your home, who knows? It's worth checking out, right? I want you to get better. And this is, as Dr. Weiss says in his book, this is about layers. We've got to just slowly but consistently rule stuff out until we find your specific issue. Now, getting back to your question about research, and then somebody else asked a question about why chondroitin? Why chondroitin? And ironically, I don't know if you can see this, the first research study we highlight is a research study about how chondroitin improves the integrity of the bladder wall. So this was research that was presented at the European Society for the Study of IC meeting a couple months ago. And let me just read you this section. For patients struggling with bladder wall damage, such as estrogen atrophy or chemotherapy, the use of a chemical band-aid or coating that could protect those tissues from irritants in urine makes sense. Chondroitin sulfate has been used in a variety of bladder installations, Uracyst, Ilurel, in Europe and Canada as a therapy, but does it really improve the integrity of the bladder wall? This study found that it did. Researchers sought to determine if chondroitin sulfate would improve bladder wall integrity. And then they did a research study with bladder cells. And what they found was that a 0.2% solution of chondroitin sulfate helped in the recovery of the barrier function of the bladder wall. The cells improved significantly measured after 7 hours, 84% as compared to 22% control. It was concluded that chondroitin sulfate installations improve the recovery of the damaged urothelial function, which supports the hypothesis that behind the mechanism of action of a gag replacement therapy. Okay, so that's why chondroitin. The question is what are the most important ingredients? And what this study shows is that really the most important ingredient to the integrity of the bladder wall is going to be chondroitin. Why? Because the bladder wall actually has chondroitin in it. I don't remember exactly the molecular name, but it's a gag replacement. Now, the second study that I want to talk about, though, is from the MAP Research Network, the multidisciplinary approach to the study of pelvic pain. So we did a year-end look at all the big research studies that were presented last year in this winter issue. And a study that I find absolutely fascinating. Here, hold on, I got to find it here. So it was a year ago in April because when you think about infection, when you think about the bladder, everybody focuses on bacteria, right? About what we're learning in IC, and we knew this from a couple of years ago, that many IC patients having quote unquote bladder wall flares, that they actually are having candida flares. That if you look at their urine, what do we find? An increase in fungi in the urine of some IC patients. Now, why would that happen? Well, overexposure to antibiotics. That when you take a lot of antibiotics, you are completely disrupting the flora and you're killing potentially the good things that keep fungi in check. So, in this research study that was published last April, they looked at the role of fungus in female IC patients. Researchers collected midstream urine samples from IC patients at the beginning of the study and again at 6 months and 12 months. 13 fungal species were found overall in samples collected from 202 patients. Patients with more severe symptoms had a greater fungal diversity as well as an increased presence of candida in their urine. Researchers concluded that their findings suggest that the severity of urinary symptoms is associated with the presence of fungi in urine. Now, think about that. Think about that for a moment. What have we as a society, and especially in the IC patient population, been relying on for decades? Whenever, especially up to 10 years ago, if you presented with symptoms of frequency, urgency, pressure, pain, what did you think you had? Infection. What did we all do? We all got antibiotics, lots of antibiotics. And then some of us self-medicated with antibiotics. I even have a family member who continues, regardless of what I say, continues to use antibiotics when she has a bladder flare. What this study is showing is that that's exactly the wrong thing to do because maybe, just maybe, we've been so overexposed to antibiotics that we've now created an environment in our urinary tract that supports fungal growth, fungus. And I will tell you, 5 or 6 years ago, when the Center for Disease Control issued their big alert about drug resistant infections, and I did big articles on that 10 years ago on our website and in our magazine. So the top 10 threats to public health for drug resistant infections, 9 were bacteria and 1 was candida. and that people are dying in hospitals of systemic candida infections that are drug resistant. So, we have got the concept of antibiotic stewardship is really important right now. And yes, I know that there's a population of patients who continues to believe that IC patients have chronic bacterial infections going on. Well, what this study shows is that no, you might actually have a chronic fungal infection going on. So we're really thinking outside the box here. And in not only looking outside the bladder, other structures in the pelvis, we're looking past bacteria and at fungus and at viral infections. Mind blowing, right? It's mind blowing how far we have come. Absolutely mind blowing. All right. And my lips get really dry when I'm doing these guys. So here is some Vaseline that will help too, I think, at this point in time. All right. Oh, okay. I just ended up with a piece of Vaseline in my mouth. It won't hurt me, but dang, that's weird. All right. I'm goofy. I'm goofy today, guys. This is Jill Osborne confined to her house. Who knows what it's going to be like a week from now? You guys are saying you don't have one. You don't have perineal bottles. Hey, man, perineal bottles are $2.99 in our store. So if you want a perineal bottle, just go over to the IC network, go over to our website, go to our store, go into restroom supplies, and I think I'll give away 2 of them as freebies. I gave away a ton of stuff on Sunday, so I got to be a little light right now. Elaine says, my surgery to excise endometriosis on my bladder has been postponed. Oh, darn it. On the positive side, pelvic floor physical therapy is reducing your frequency. All right. It's a start. And yes, those appointments have been canceled, but hopefully they gave you exercises that you can do at home, as well as maybe you bought a glass wand and you can do some of that too, right? You should have your home plan for pelvic floor work anyway. The most important part of pelvic floor physical therapy is not your appointment with the physical therapist. It's what you do when you get home, right? Veronica says all these supplements give you pain. Of all the supplements, the cleanest, crispest supplement is the Piora. I haven't had anybody call me to say that Piora gave them pain, and I am super, super sensitive myself. Um, so it's in a vegetable capsule, and it's just palmitoethanolamide and resveratrol. So, but girl, I hear you. I hear you about the super extreme sensitivity. Hello, Matthew. Nice to see you. Hi, Ginny. Janice says, I love Bladder Builder. It works very well for me. You guys, if it works well for you, please, and if it doesn't work well for you, please send me emails with your stories because I'm trying to collect stories for other patients. Or you can go onto our website and submit a product review. Molly says, I've had a ridiculous pain in your bladder for days. Feels like you have a boulder in there and it's pushing its way out. I have burn marks on my thighs from constant use of heating pads. It just hurts. And I've been crying out frustration. I want a hug. If I could give you, I'm giving you a hug. I'm giving you a hug right now. Big giant hug. So anytime you have a pushing, pulling sensation, Molly, we always look at muscle. And I don't remember, and just bear with me here because I'm running like a chicken with my head cut off. So my ability to remember some details about individual patients is limited. Anytime we feel something pushing its way out, we're always going to be looking at a prolapse situation, right? Thank you, Dad. Oh, why don't you drop it just go ahead and drop it on the floor. I don't want to touch it. Go wash your hands, okay? Wash your hands really well. I don't want to bring the mail in the house right now. I want to spray it with Lysol first. So Molly, I that pushing its way out sensation, I would suspect that maybe you've got either really, really strong levator ani spasms, or maybe even a prolapse, hon. or the start of one, maybe. And, after my hysterectomy, it felt like there was a fist up my vagina that was like a fist grabbing onto my tissue and pulling downward really hard. That was a levator ani spasm. Hello, Caroline. And you had red pasta sauce 2 nights in a row. Feel like the right side of your pelvis is going to break. Staying away from others. We're going on lockdown like Italy. Yeah, we're already on lockdown here. Uh, yeah, red pasta sauce. Listen, if your family's having pasta, just cook your own pasta in a small pot and use butter and Parmesan cheese, or butter and a little bit of garlic, or butter and a little bit of parsley, or something like that. I do a lot of Parmesan cheese. Generally, the aged cheeses do not seem to irritate too many people. But we haven't had my dad now is dealing with at 97, his bladder is as tender as it can be. And so I haven't been able to cook anything with tomato for 6 months now. Even the little yellow tomatoes flare him. Ann says, does everybody have toilet paper? I have 1.5 things from Costco that I bought a month ago. And then bamboo toilet paper also. Cher says, is IC an autoimmune disease? The answer is IC does not meet the specific criteria as an autoimmune disease. That requires, if I remember correctly, 4 different results in blood tests that we do not display. But that is not correlated with subtypes. If there's any subtype that is autoimmune, it could be Hunner's lesions. But the bladder wall injury patient, the pelvic floor injury patient, the pudendal neuralgia patient, the central sensitization patient, I really doubt are autoimmune. They just don't meet the requirements, and we don't show the blood findings. Whereas when you biopsy a Hunner's lesion, you find massive inflammation. And so that would be my guess. Now, again, is there perhaps a small autoimmune subtype? Yeah, possibly. But it's not specifically designed, but or defined. But for that patient who's got IC and Sjogren's and lupus, something like that, which again would be, if I remember correctly, 3% correlation that 3% of IC patients might have lupus or Sjogren's. That could be the autoimmune subtype. Faith. Oh, Faith says you did send me your address. I wrote it down as Faith Warner, and I did get an email from a Faith Green, but I did not know that was you. I'm sorry, hun. I got your book right here in an envelope ready to go, and I will check that email for you. Okay. Feel free to resend it if you want, but I know I got it. Hello, Heather. Hi, Teresa from Dayton. Hey, man, better, I mean, I'm now 2 weeks out from oral surgery. I can talk a little bit more today than I could on Sunday when I did the support group meeting there. Not hurting as much as long as I don't get popcorn stuck in there, which I did, right before I started. Janice says, I love Bladder Builder. You've been taking it for 4 months now and you haven't had any pain for several weeks. Yeah, baby. Woohoo! Successes. I love success stories. I don't care what it is. If you're better, I love to hear about it. Before taking it, you had pain every day for a year. I will keep you posted on my progress. Awesome. Please keep us posted. Anne says, please put something in writing. You can present this to your doctor. Maybe that fits you. Girl, Anne, you need to send me an email, icnetwork@mac.com, and send me an email. Let me know specifically what you want and if I can help. Molly says, bamboo toilet paper. I'm slightly bamboozled. Bamboo, there is more environmentally friendly toilet paper that's based on bamboo. And the cool thing about it is it doesn't, with normal toilet paper, all the dust that comes off of it is amazing. And you end up with a lot of dust on your tender bits. And the bamboo paper toilet paper does not have that same dust. And the reason why I switched to it was because I was having some weird vulvodynia last year, and my doctor suggested I give it a try, and I actually quite like it. Anne says, "How do I know what kind you have and whether I can go out in public or not?" I don't know, hon. What about celiac? I don't know. I just don't know. Sherry says, "Hello, Sherry. Hey, what's up from everyone from the Big D?" Let's go back to YouTube here. Cynthia, let's see. Hold on a sec. Catherine says, "Do you sell bladder-friendly drinks or smoothies?" The answer is yes. We have some bladder-friendly herbal teas. We've got very, 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 very low acid coffee. And interestingly, there is a new low acid smoothie in development right now by Natural Approach Nutrition. The CEO of that company, before he became a pain patient, actually specialized in beverages, including making smoothies. And he asked me a couple years ago, he said, "Would you like a low acid smoothie for IC patients?" And my answer was, "I just don't know if it would sell or not." And he decided to make it anyway. And so we will have some icy friendly protein smoothies sometime this year, probably this spring. Cynthia says, "Do I need to renew my IC magazine or is it on auto renew?" Unless you're so with your if you're a subscriber, 30 days ahead of time, we send an email to the address that we have on record telling you that it will auto renew, but you have 30 days to cancel. So the assumption here is that if we don't hear from you, that you want to keep it, but as soon as you let us know that you want to cancel it, I'll cancel it in a heartbeat. Not a problem at all. Just when you have a lot of subscribers, you have to find a way to manage them, and software is what we use to manage that. Not perfect, but otherwise, I would just be doing that all day instead of doing meetings, and I need to do meetings. Catherine says, "As a menopausal woman, is Osphena hormone pills irritable to the bladder?" You know, I know that I've gotten phone calls about that before. I just don't remember what the trend was. I don't think it was much of a problem, but you won't know until you try it. You'll just have to try one pill and see how you do, and then do a low dose for a week and see how you do. I don't remember any nightmare horror stories about Osphena, but we're all so individually sensitive. There's no way I can tell you personally. You're just going to have to try it and see how you do. Follow your doctor's advice. Catherine says, "I need to thank you for helping me for a horrific flare that landed me in the hospital. You're such a, oh, thank you, Catherine. That's very sweet. I love working with you guys." Joan says, "Yeah, we had a lot of antibiotics as a child, end of high school, started bladder and urinary tract infections, and the list goes on." Hey, man, if there's ever a group that's been massively overexposed to antibiotics, it's us. It's crazy. Joan says, "Feels like a bowling ball of pain." Anytime we feel bowling ball, that sensation in the pelvis, we're pretty much always talking pelvic floor and or prolapse. Catherine says, "Could 5 abdominal surgeries over 5 years start IC? Because that's shortly after it started." Yeah, absolutely. What that means is that so there are 2 reflexes. So let me give you my little pelvic spiel, Catherine. So the thing you got to understand about the pelvis is it is a complete mistake to consider the bladder in isolation. The pelvis is a very small confined part of our human body that does a vast majority of the work of the human body. Think about it. The pelvis carries the weight of your torso. The pelvis absorbs the pressure and stress when you walk or run or stumble. That weight is deflected up the muscles in your legs right into your pelvic floor. And when you think about the pelvis, you've got muscles from the left to right, front to back, low to high. We've got muscles from your torso that descend deep into your pelvis and attach to your hip bones and your various bony structures in your pelvis, just like we have muscles in your legs that also attach to your hips. So the mistake with that many doctors make when they are looking at a patient with IC and or pelvic pain is they're only focusing on their specialty. Whereas Dr. Jerome Weiss, in his fabulous book, Breaking Through Chronic Pelvic Pain, focuses on interrelationships. So, this is what we know. We know that an organ can trigger muscle dysfunction. That if you have pain, if your bladder's screaming in pain, let's say from chemotherapy, hold on a sec. I will never eat popcorn again before a meeting. Okay. Whenever you're in pain, especially from an organ, your spinal cord and your body are going to react to that pain, and your brain are going to react to that pain by telling you to tighten muscles. It's completely subconscious. You have no control over this. And so, let's say you're a chemotherapy patient and the chemo is irritating the hell out of your bladder. That pain message is going to trigger your brain to also tighten your pelvic floor muscles. So we call that a viscerosomatic reflex. The viscera, an organ, can change muscles, soma, a viscerosomatic reflex. But we also know that muscles can trigger changes in organs. So what happens there? And if you spend any time in IC support groups, you're going to meet a lot of patients whose symptoms began after having a baby or a car accident or a fall or a rape or a trauma, anything at all like that, or a history of athletics, being a ballet dancer, a gymnast, ice skater, whatever. So what happens when you fall? Let's just say you fall. Let's say you fall on your hip. So you go bam. The local effect of that is that the muscle is compressed, but so are the blood vessels. Now, how do we know blood vessels are compressed? Because when you fall, sometimes you bruise because the fall has literally broken the blood vessels and it's oozed blood in those tissues. But there's also nerve injury, that not only are blood vessels injured, nerves are injured. Nerves are compressed. What's important to understand about the nerve fibers is that imagine a hollow tube. Now, there's not just one nerve in that tube. Sometimes there are two or three nerves in their tube. You've got a nerve going downward and a nerve going upward, and sometimes nerves are shared. But also in that tube is a blood vessel, a capillary. And that capillary provides nutrition for that nerve. But it's in a confined space. So you fall, bam, and you compress the nerve channel. So what happens there? The blood vessel in the nerve channel breaks and it releases blood inside the channel, inside the nerve itself, which then creates a compression injury. There's no place for the blood to go unless it's ripped open, right? So we end up with sick nerves. That nerve needs that blood flow to manage calcium because a nerve impulse is all about uh, the movement of ions. And when a nerve pulse moves across what's the right word? A connection, the connection between the nerves, a whole bunch of calcium molecules are released. And then those calcium molecules are reabsorbed by the healthy nerve. So you don't have any residue in that nerve. But that nerve gets damaged and sick when the blood vessel is broken. So what's happening now is that nerve is not healthy enough to function normally, and the nerve becomes sick. Well, so after that injury, we have sick muscle fibers that have been compressed, and there's injury to the muscle fiber. There's injury potentially to the major blood vessels, and then there are injuries to the nerves. Eventually, The spinal cord gets overwhelmed. It gets overwhelmed by pain messages, and also the nerve injury slash sickness kind of moves up towards the spinal cord. The problem here is that the nerves in the spinal cord for the bladder and the vulva and all those areas are really interconnected. They're connected, they're proximal, they're right next to each other. And so here you've got a nerve that's firing stuff and it can't get reabsorbed. And then, bam, what happens is the other nerves get involved. So then the nerves in the bladder become irritated and sick. Now, a sick nerve releases substance P. Substance P damages tissue. And when you damage the bladder wall with substance P, the bladder integrity of the bladder wall breaks down. So for these patients, their symptoms began after muscle injury, but now they're having bladder symptoms. Now, generally for these patients, they will never get healed with a bladder treatment. You might feel marginally better because it's helping address some of the fundamental bladder wall problems that are happening. But underneath it all, the foundational problem is tight muscles and restricted blood flow. So, our therapeutic priority for the patient whose symptoms began after a muscle injury is going to be restoring blood flow. How do we do that? By releasing the muscle and trying to get enough good blood flow in there so that those tissues and those muscle fibers and those nerves and everything can be healed. So, that is an example of a somatovisceral reflex. So, you've got organs to muscles that can cause changes, and we've got muscles to organs that can cause changes. And that is exactly why the bladder wall starts to break down. I explain this as the chicken versus the egg dilemma. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And for us, it's which comes first, the bladder or the pelvic floor? The reality is that they're both involved because they're so incredibly interconnected. And throw in vulvodynia for some people, or prostate pain for some people, or rectal pain. We will see that too. Um, our goal here is to figure out what is primary and what is secondary. Generally, there's a fundamental problem that is making the other symptom also happen. So when I work with patients, we always want to go back in time to when their symptoms began, and were there any events, any falls, any triggers, anything at all like that. So Catherine says, could 5 abdominal surgeries over 5 years start IC symptoms? And the answer is absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you had abdominal surgeries, that caused trauma to the muscles and trauma to the nerves. And what we continue to see is a history of recurring pelvic trauma. And it could be related to scar tissue from the surgery itself, compressing a nerve or reducing blood flow to muscles or organs. Or it could be the result of the nervous system itself getting really amped up by these repeated traumas. Catherine, you really, 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 really need to buy this book. This is the book. People, it's free on Kindle Unlimited. It's free. You don't even have to buy it. Best book written on IC in 50 years. Best book written ever, in my opinion. This book is a game changer. It will give you so many layers to peel until we find where your issues are. And it's the one that explains in depth how muscles and nerves get injured, traumatized, and how they affect the bladder. But more importantly, it's filled with success stories. But it's patients who got better when they did certain things. One of the things that I always say too is, I mean, there are so many patients. I was working with a ballerina, and her muscles were toast. They were so tight. It's terrible. And I think they were so tight. I think if I remember correctly, even her tailbone was being pulled out of its proper position by these tight muscles. And in her case, we've got to get these muscles normal again. We've got to get them long, loose, pliant with good blood flow so that all the other structures in the pelvis also have good blood flow. So many good things have happened, my friends. We have learned so much. That's the one good thing that's happening in 2020 is this is a game changer. This is a fantastic resource. And it's free on Kindle Unlimited. If you have regular Kindle, it's $9. If you want it in print, you can get it from us in our store for $29. And hopefully, as we get more orders, and I'm ordering 100 books at a time right now. So they're giving me, I think I'm paying $22 per book wholesale. And if we can drop that down substantially, I can drop it down substantially, right? But it's $36 on Amazon, the print book. So I reduced the price $7 to make it more affordable. And I would like to make it even more affordable. And I think I've given away in these support group meetings at least 25 books so far for free. So if you stick around, you might get a book. Although I just gave 2 books away. So I don't know. I don't know. I'll probably wait until our next organized support group meeting to give another one away because they're expensive and I personally am paying for them. All right. Oh, and IC Network. Just do that address, IC Network, and then at Mac, like Macintosh computer, IC Network at mac.com is my email address. Feel free to email me. Maud says, I was recently diagnosed with IC via hydrodistension. However, I don't have IC symptoms. I do have frequency and I have to push to pee. Okay, well, that tells us your pelvic floor is involved. The pain pressure is excruciating. The pain eases with masturbation but comes back with a vengeance. Have you ever heard? Absolutely. And that I hear that. I've heard that all the time. You are so not alone here. So think about it. When you have an orgasm, your muscles are immediately relaxed. And that's why you would feel better after you have an orgasm, is because all of your muscles chill out for a period of time. But underneath it all, you've got extremely tight muscles, hun. If you have to push to pee, remember, urination is about relaxation. A muscle relaxes, a sphincter opens, and your urine comes out usually in a split second. If your muscles are too tight, you're not going to be able to relax enough to empty urine out. So then what do? You push. Well, the problem with pushing is you're actually tightening the muscles again. You never, ever, ever want to push and strain when you're trying to pee. It's only going to make it worse. So, Maud, you need to have a pelvic floor assessment immediately. And your doctor should have done that. IC is not normally diagnosed with a hydrodistension. They just rule out Hunner's lesions with that. Uh, but just the fact that you've got to push and the fact that you feel better after you have an orgasm, those both point to serious muscle issues going on. You started Rimso, you're at your 5th treatment now because of corona, they canceled. So Rimso, again, is an older therapy. It's not particularly popular anymore. The American Urology Association has it as a step 2 treatment. I think it would be really interesting for you to try the step 1 interventions first. Step 1 is the foundation for success in that system. And so if you go on over to the IC Network website, I have a video, the 6 steps of treatment. And this is the 6 steps of treatment as defined by the American Urology Association. And in step 1 is supplements. And it would be really interesting for you to try maybe some of the supplements, 1 or 2 of the supplements, like the Peora, to see if that might reduce some of your pain. But none of the supplements are going to fix tight muscles. I think it's very, very important that you have a pelvic floor assessment and try some muscle relaxation. Let's see if that would help. Use a heating pad, take a hot shower. If you have a muscle relaxant, if they ever gave you baclofen or Flexeril, it would be very interesting to see if that made your symptom go away. Because if it did, then we know also that your muscles are driving a lot of your symptoms. Kristen says, I just ordered the book Breaking Through Pelvic Pain and became a member. I can't wait for it to get here. Awesome. You're going to love it. It's going to teach you more. I am so much better as a support group leader for having read this book. I've read it twice. I have a whole book of notes on it. I published my notes in our magazine. Well, some of them, because I did a big interview with the author too. The cool thing about the book is it's really helped me personally visualize my pelvic floor and how I'm working with my muscles with my glass wand. My physical therapist used to say to me, because I'm all left side, I've got left side SI dysfunction, left side piriformis dysfunction, and a lot of pain. In fact, I'm sitting right now, my piriformis muscle is vibrating. Um, that's just because I've been sitting too long today. My physical therapist used to say, Jill, she wanted me to use a J shape with my wand. And I didn't get it. And now I get it. Just with the diagrams and as I'm laying on my back using my wand, it's helping me visualize how I'm trying to work with those muscles. So, your pelvis is basically a three-sided open box, right? That's pointed forward. And so we've got muscles along the base and we've got muscles that go up both sides. And it's your piriformis muscles that go and your obturator muscles, which are on the side, right? Did I get that right? Um, and so what she was telling me is she wanted me to use a J and go up the side to try to get to that piriformis. I was tending to just kind of poke around and that wasn't working. And now I know why. The book has taught me to follow the muscle. I'm much better at visualizing where the muscles are connecting and going. So I really hope it works. Catherine says, does physical therapy relax those muscles? Girl, it's the only way to get those muscles to relax if you're stuck in a locked position. And they will use their finger vaginally. And in that exam, so again, this is your pelvis. So here's half of your pelvis. Your physical therapist will use their finger, especially at your first appointment, to just slowly touch the shallow muscles, the mid-level muscles, and the deeper muscles, because you've got three distinct layers of muscles here. And if the physical therapist can touch a muscle and trigger your pain, that is a spectacular success, my friend. That is exactly what we want. Now, the question then is, once she finds the pain, he or she finds the pain, what do they do about it? Well, what they're going to they're going to go back now and they're going to try to follow the muscle fiber and try to rub the muscle to get it to lengthen and loosen. So a tight muscle clenches up. What they're going to do is try with their finger to get that muscle to flatten and lengthen. Well, to lengthen, flatten isn't the right word, to lengthen. So physical therapy is fantastically successful in many patients, and we have the research to prove it from the National Institutes of Health. Pelvic floor physical therapy outperforms every other bladder therapy 2 to 1 in terms of effectiveness and reducing the symptoms of IC. Man, it is cold. I'm cold. We got a big storm here. Oh. Oh, Patty says, totally off topic. What video games are you playing? You're gonna play Animal Crossing on Friday. I am playing Fortnite every night for at least a half an hour to an hour. And Fortnite just brought in helicopters. And I was playing with a friend of mine and her daughter, and the daughter was flying the helicopter, and we were kicking, you know what, and we were dying laughing because all the teams we were playing with are teenage boys. They had no idea they were playing with women. And we were kicking their tush. It was great. So anyway, I'm just playing Fortnite right now. I let my World of Warcraft expire, but I might activate it. It depends upon how crazy I get being stuck at home. Anybody wants to play Fortnite, hit me up, send me an email. I'll give you my name in the game. I'd love to play with you. We need a team of I need a squad of ICers. Would be so cool to play together. And, I mean, the reason why I play computer games, guys, is because think about it. Put yourself in my shoes. I will spend 6 to 8 hours a day talking with patients in pain. And by the end of the day, I'm sad and frustrated for you and sometimes angry about the way you're treated. I got to get that out of my body. Otherwise, I cannot do my job well. And so there's no better distraction then especially if I'm angry at, the way somebody's been treated to go play a computer game for a little bit. I never play for a lot. I mean, but I find it extremely healthy for me personally. Kristen says, "Will Bladder Builder interact with any medication? What's in it?" Kristen, if you go on over to icnetwork.org and click on the store and go to Bladder Builder, it'll take you to the category. You just have to click on a specific item, a single bottle or a 3 pack, and it will give you the full ingredients for Bladder Builder. But basically, it has quercetin for the antihistaminic effect. It's got chondroitin and hyaluronate for a bladder coating effect. It's got collagen for the bladder wall. It's got some beneficial probiotics for the gut. But most importantly, Bladder Builder has PEA in it. There are a few other ingredients in it, but really the state of the art supplement right now is Bladder Builder. And as you can see from this meeting, Bladder Builder is helping a lot of people. It's a great supplement. We're really happy with it. What's the name of the book? Breaking Through Chronic Pelvic Pain. Breaking Through Chronic Pelvic Pain. Love your neon love sign. Isn't that great? I have another love sign too, right? That one. But it's got big letters love and then in a cursive never. And then underneath it is fails. And so sometimes you guys don't see the word never. And so it's like love fails. So I had to hide it. But I love that little neon sign. I want more. I want one that says believe, and I want one that says hope and strength and courage. Molly says, when my dad was alive, he pushed so hard to pee, there was blood everywhere. They sent him to the hospital and he was catheterized. Yeah, that, you're running big risks. Sonia said, I read recently it may be more of a muscle problem than bladder, so I've been using Flexeril more often than pain meds. Seems to be working. Sonia, me too. I will tell you that I could not have gotten through my hysterectomy recovery without Flexeril as a muscle relaxant. Guys, there are generally two so understand here that your pelvis has two different types of muscles. You've got the smooth muscle of your bladder and the striated muscle of your pelvic floor. So they function differently and they have different receptors and different medications. So if you are having bladder spasms, you would be using a smooth muscle relaxant like Detrol or Ditropan. If you're having pelvic floor spasms, you need a skeletal muscle relaxant. And that's going to be baclofen or Flexeril or Valium. Baclofen is the popular favorite because you can take it during the day and it is not sedating. It does not cause any sedative effect. I can't take baclofen because it makes my chin itch, and I do not understand why, but it does. The next one that people take is going usually Flexeril, but it can sedate you if you take it during the day, so it's better to take it at night. When I take Flexeril, for a pelvic floor spasm, I take a quarter of the lowest dose. I literally cut it in quarters. And it works like a charm for me in terms of calming stuff down. And then, of course, Valium, vaginal Valium suppositories, where they can put Valium in a suppository and you can put it directly in your vagina or for men in your rectum. And that also will move directly over to your pelvic floor and try to relax your pelvic floor. Sherry says, also been diagnosed with SI dysfunction. My ortho doctor says it can be the cause of overactive bladder. He's right, because SI dysfunction means that your piriformis muscle is is being compromised. It is working too hard because your SI joint is too flexible. So your pelvic floor, your piriformis muscle is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And that's going to start influencing other muscle groups, including the urinary diaphragm, which is what is linked to frequency urgency. So he's absolutely right. And piriform SI dysfunction is challenging. Sherry, when my SI joint gets really wonky, I have a SI belt that I wear. It's a really thin belt that I wear kind of over my hips, and you just tighten it. It's Velcro, and it forces the SI joint back into place, so your muscles aren't working so hard. So go to Google and look for SI belt, and then look for the thin ones. You don't want the big thick ones. You want the thin one. I can show you my sample if you want to see it. Molly says, I had an accident with my old gynecologist. When getting off the tape exam, you misstep. You started having tingles and the vibrating in the vulva and the bladder. Her response, don't worry about it. That is exactly a pudendal nerve injury that Molly, that he describes in this book. Anytime you have tingling, vibrating, we're really looking at nerves and muscles. Hello, David. If most of the pain and discomfort is in my urethra, would a bladder installation help? Probably not. I mean, it might numb your urethra as it's coming out, but, Megan, when I have a really good article on our website called "The 7 Causes of Urethral Pain." So please go on over to IC Network and search the website for urethral pain, and this blog should come up that talks about these causes. I will tell you that generally with a urethra, we're looking at chemical irritation, from laundry detergent, fabric softener, menstrual pads, things like that. I mean, if I put on a pair of underwear washed in sheer Tide, within 5 minutes, I'll have urethral irritation for sure, every single time. Um, uh, Fabric softener is particularly bad. Anything that leaves a scent in your clothing is going to leave chemicals in your clothing that could then cause some chemical irritation of your tender bits down there. The second thing that we're going to look at is estrogen atrophy. The urethra is kind of like the canary in the coal mine when it comes to us women going through the joys of dryness. As your estrogen levels drop, your skin gets drier. It turns out your mucous membranes, which are your vagina, your vulva, your urethra, your bladder, and your mouth, rely on estrogen to produce that nice thick coating of mucus. So when you're young and you have lots of estrogen, you have lots of mucus. When you're older and menopausal, guess what? You don't have a lot of estrogen, therefore you don't have a lot of mucus. So it's the urethra, specifically the bottom half of the urethra that starts to scream first for some patients. And that happened to me when I was like 52 or 53. It felt like there was a drop of urine in my urethra that would not come out. And I threw everything I knew. I mean, listen, guys, my IC self help skills are really good because, hello, I've written most of the materials. You've read about it. I mean, I know my stuff. Been doing this for 27 years, and I'm an IC patient just like you. I threw everything I knew about with self-help to try to get my urethra to calm down, and it wouldn't calm down. And I finally threw myself on the mercy of my urologist and went into his office and said, "Please help me figure out why my urethra is so irritated." He took one look and he groaned and he goes, "Jill." And I'm like, "What?" I'm laying on my back, my knees are up, he's staring at my tender bits down there. And he goes, "Jill." And I'm like, "What? What? What'd I do?" He goes, "Didn't you use the hormone cream I prescribed for you last year?" And I went, "Nope." And he goes, "Why?" And my answer was, "Because in my brain, I'm 25 years old and I couldn't possibly have an age related health problem." And that's still true today. And I'm older and I still feel 25. And it's baffling to me to have age related issues. And he explained that the bottom half of the urethra is remarkably sensitive to the loss of estrogen. He represcribed the estrogen cream, and guess what? Within 2 weeks, it was gone. And he had me rub a pea sized drop of estrogen cream right at the entrance to my urethra. And I still do that today. If I forget to do it for 2 weeks, it comes right back. So that estrogen cream for me is vital for keeping my urethra moist and protected. Okay, so we talk. Oh, and then the third thing for urethral pain is muscle tension. Because guess what? You've got muscles right around your urethra, and specifically, they're called the um, urinary diaphragm. The urinary diaphragm muscles are the muscles right at your urethra, and if those muscles are tight, guess what happens? Frequency, urgency. Sonia says you squeeze a ball between your knees to put your SI joint back into place. Clever, clever. I have the ball. I do physical therapy with the ball too. Katie says, how much water should some people with IC drink? Anywhere from 4 to 8 glasses of water to a day. Everybody's a little bit different. You don't want to be dehydrated because when you're dehydrated, you let your urine get super concentrated and irritating. Your urine should be a pale, clear yellow. If it's dark yellow, if it's brown, you are dehydrated and not drinking enough water. If it's clear, you are drinking way too much water and messing with your electrolytes. Your goal is pale, clear yellow. So far today, I have had, let's see, 1, 2, 3. This is my fourth big glass of water right here. And I'll probably have 2 more tonight. Mostly because I go to bed late. I usually am not in bed till 2 in the morning, so. Cynthia says, "A flexural makes it easier for you to avoid." Yeah, because it's relaxing your muscles. Joan says, "Oh, thank you for saying I'll look 25. Only if I do this and I hide my neck. If I hide my neck, okay, there's a good shot that I at least look in my 40s. If I show my neck, it's a whole nother story. I should just wear turtlenecks when I do these. Then I won't be all paranoid about my wrinkly neck, which only happened after my hysterectomy. Okay, okay, see, now I'm paranoid. Okay. Okay, now I have to cover it up. Ow, ow. Oh, I just zippered my neck skin. Now I understand why women wear scarves when they're older. Somebody said, what estrogen cream? I use a compounded estradiol cream from the Women's International Pharmacy. Their website is women'sinternational.com. They don't pay me for it. It was my own OBGYN who told me to use them. He said, Jill, you're super sensitive. You're not going to tolerate Premarin or Estrace. I want you to use a compounded cream. He turned me on to them, and it's been a joy. They're a fabulous, fabulous pharmacy to work with. It's cheap. I had another patient call who could not afford the $300 to $400 a month for Premarin, and she was in her 80s. She was 85, and she couldn't afford the Premarin, so she was using tiny, tiny, tiny amounts, and it wasn't being helpful at all. And I told her about the Women's International Pharmacy, and she's getting it now for $45 a prescription. And she was crying on the phone. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for giving me an option. She didn't know there were other options. Patty says, estrogen cream has done the trick for me. I was getting recurring UTIs. Haven't had one since I told my doctor to prescribe the screen. Right, because when you don't have a nice thick mucosal barrier, you're much more vulnerable to infection. Much, 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 much. So anytime there's a menopausal woman who's struggling with recurring lab confirmed urinary tract infections, that's never classified as a simple UTI. It should always be classified as a complex UTI. And in addition to antibiotics, they almost always should give you a estrogen cream, because in the research they've done with those patients, Patty, what they consistently found is the bacteria in the vagina about 24 hours before it arrived in the bladder. And that made the doctors go, well, what's happened to the defenses? Whatever happened to vaginal defenses? Why has the vagina become a safe haven for infection? And the answer comes right back to estrogen atrophy. And that is why most older women who get recurring infections are usually given a estrogen cream to use. And you are living proof that it works, because it is now triggered a better, thicker mucosal barrier. Thus, your body's now able to defend itself from that bacteria. So that's fabulous. All right, guys, listen. I've been doing this for almost 2 hours now, or 1 hour and 35 minutes. I plan to do these almost every day, but I got to cut it short because I'm still recovering from oral surgery and I got to go make sure my parents had some food. So I'm going to say goodbye now, but I'm going to give away it. If I have, okay, I can't make a promise here because I'm not going to go to the UPS store to get envelopes. Uh, if I can find 2 envelopes to send Perry bottles to, I will send out, Perry bottles to the first 2 people who send me email. So if you would like a perineal wash bottle, if you don't have toilet paper and you're looking for an option, send me an email, icnetwork@mac.com, with your real mailing address, not your email, and I will try to send 2 people Perry bottles, okay? All right, my friends, I gotta go. I will see you later. Be safe, stay away from people, and, do a lot of deep breathing and all that sort of good stuff. Oh, remember your homework. I gotta give your homework. 15 minutes a day, do something for your bladder and your pelvic floor. For 15 minutes a day, I need you to do something for your noggin, improve your knowledge level. Come over to our website, read blogs. For 15 minutes a day, I need you to do something that will give you comfort, spiritual comfort. You're not alone in this, but it's important to do things that make you feel good. And for 15 minutes a day, I need you to laugh. Go over to YouTube or go to TikTok and watch some funny videos because when you laugh, your brain modulates pain. If pain is accompanied, oh, I got my first email. If pain is accompanied by tears, your brain is going to intensify that pain. If your pain is accompanied by laughter, your brain is going to minimize that pain. That's how your brain processes the importance level of pain. So please find a way to laugh every day, okay? Even if it's at me when I accidentally drop something, or anyway, our last meeting last Sunday was hysterical because I kept messing up my chair and I kept falling. All right, I'll see you guys later. Be well. Be strong. You can do this. We're doing this together. All right, goodbye, Facebook. All right, my friends on YouTube, I will talk to you later. Have a good one.